just realized that I have been micro suppressing joy this past 24 hours, this past couple of days, because I am conditioned in my body that to only feel a certain amount of happiness. Quick note before we dive in. If you're a woman in healthcare leadership, and especially if you're a woman physician or clinician leader looking for a space that truly gets the challenges that we experience as women leaders in medicine, check out our REMAP cohort. It's 4 months, real community, real skills, and 22 CME credits. Link is in the show notes. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, and as always, just truly grateful to be with you here today on this podcast. We've been talking a lot about emotions, and oftentimes when we talk about emotional intelligence, we're talking about regulating negative emotions. We're talking about knowing when something is activating. We don't often talk about letting joy in and the positive emotions. And at the time of recording this podcast, many of you know in March, I did my second TEDx talk. And at the time of recording of this podcast, I just found out yesterday that my TEDx talk has been chosen as an editor's pick by TED because relationship repair is very relevant for the times. And so previous to that, at the time of this recording, last week I recorded a podcast with a guest who you probably recognize the name, Tasneem Grace. We talked about creativity as a self-expression and leading into emotional intelligence or emotional resilience. And so we were inside of that conversation. One of the things that came up is how we sometimes suppress the expression of pride for ourselves, the expression of excitement. And it's because of old conversations, inherited conversations that, frankly, I can speak for myself, that I've heard in my upbringing, not specifically from my caretakers. My mom never said these type of phrases, but I would hear them in the community. Don't get too big for your britches, waiting for the other shoe to drop, don't get too happy, stay right sized, stay humble, all of these things, right? Which in essence, it over time can create a micro suppression, like a habit of micro suppressing joy, a micro suppressing positive emotions. And so when I received this news, I found myself, because when I received the news that I've been chosen, I was explicitly told it's not final yet. It's not final. They can't confirm it. They can't confirm it as final. And you have been chosen. And they're still collecting and they're doing their marketing and the stuff, right? So I'm literally recording this one day after I've received this news. And I shared only with a couple of people. And I also shared, it's not final yet. And then people are like, no, we're claiming it. We're claiming it. It's final. And we're claiming it's going to happen. It's already happened. These are shout out to Dr. Nicole, who's got the podcast, Your Next Chapter with Dr. Nicole. She's my biz bestie. She's my bestie in a lot of ways. But no, it is done. It is, you can celebrate. I've had my TEDx cohorts call me, voice text me in celebration. And even our organizer, shout out to Barry Barton, TEDx Asheville organizer, who shared it with our cohort. So clearly it's official, it's just not final, right? But I find myself last night, I was like, I want to stay right sized. I want to make sure that I manage my excitement. And then this morning, I do a content calendar so that I have an idea of what I want to talk about in a thematic kind of way, so that it makes sense and it's of value to you all and it flows from podcast to podcast. So I get up this morning and I go to my content calendar, and what am I supposed to be talking about today? allowing positive emotions in. So I share that with you because for as long as I've been practicing inside of emotional resilience and emotional fluency and communication and trust and safety, like trusting in myself and managing my emotions, like it's still a practice that I live from day to day. And so, what I want to say is that we always say, don't let people steal your joy. It's a phrase that is often used in my community. Don't let other people steal your joy. But I would offer that don't let anyone steal your joy, even yourself. And so when I realized that I just realized that I have been micro suppressing joy this past 24 hours, this past couple of days, because am conditioned in my body to to only feel a certain amount of happiness, only feel a certain amount of excitement, only feel a certain amount of joy, and then to keep it moving. Okay, I can be excited, but I gotta prepare. I gotta prepare for what's gonna happen. I gotta be ready. Like not slowing down enough to really take it in, the feeling, and experience the bliss and the elation of what this all means and the impact that this is going to make, right? And so, what I offer to you as a listener is think of the things in your life that have brought you immense joy, and then just reflect on the ways that you maybe have micro suppressed or not even micro suppressed, like just suppressed it altogether. And what are the conversations? What are the conversations that you have inherited that have had you do that? What are the things that you've grown up with, the phrases, and how can you begin to recognize that's not your voice? That's an inherited voice. That's somebody else. That's community's voice. And begin to practice really letting those positive emotions in. Because just as negative emotions can be really harmful for the body, like anger and unchecked sadness, unchecked anger, unchecked fear, it causes inflammation, it impacts the heart, it impacts the blood pressure, it impacts the body like it really does because the body really does keep the score. But research does show that positive emotions, connection, people who are moving through terminal illness or cancer diagnosis or who are in cancer recovery, they have much better outcomes. Hospitalization, people who have been hospitalized for major illnesses have much better outcomes when they have connection, when they have joy, when they have laughter, right? Laughter has been shown to lower our cortisol levels. And so when we allow in the joy, when we allow in the laughter, when we allow in the peace, when we allow in the pride for ourselves and for our families and for our kids, right? We allow in that generosity of positive emotion. It actually is beneficial to our bodies, to our brains, and it impacts everyone around us, like how we move at work. We actually are more resilient when we're in our joy. Somebody can say something that would normally tick us off, and we give more grace there. Hey, before we get back to the episode, I want to take a moment to share something close to my heart. 17 years ago, someone saw my leadership before I could see it myself. That experience changed everything for me. And that's exactly why I created the REMAP cohort. If you're a woman physician or leader in healthcare who's tired of being talked over, burned out from carrying conversations you don't have language for, or just craving a space where you don't have to explain being the only one in the room, this is for you. REMAP is a 4-month cohort, a small, intimate community for women, physicians, and leaders in healthcare, where you'll build real communication skills and community, navigate the hard stuff, and yes, earn CME credit in the process. 22 Category 1 AMA CME to be exact. Listen, you deserve a space that pours into you, not one that continues to extract from you. Find out more, reserve your spot, or schedule a discovery call at remappingacademy.com. Also, the link is in the show notes. We may recognize that was unacceptable behavior. We may set that boundary, but if we're living inside of that joy, we have more capacity to regulate or to even, it's like a sealant, like waterproofing. The beads of water just bounce off of you, right? And so I think that it's important for us to be porous to positive emotion. All right. Be porous to positive emotion. Allow it in. Allow in the joy. Stop and When they say stop and smell the roses, right? Stop and allow it in. And I commit to taking that on as well, to celebrating and to live that practice. I think that was the main message that I wanted to bring today, is that as much as we are conditioned around negative emotion, we are conditioned around positive emotion. We are conditioned to suppress. And so we now have the choice. We can recognize. And again, I talk about emotions as data. I talk about how we feel emotions in our body. The practice of knowing how it feels when you feel excited, when you feel joy, when you feel peace. But I think it's also important to practice recognizing when you're putting the cap on it. What does it feel like? When was the last time you felt joy rise up and then you put the cap on it? What does that feel like in your body when that happens? So that you can recognize. We have talked about the gradations of negative emotion and recognizing when a negative emotion is rising so we can interrupt that. But how about recognizing positive emotion and when we interrupt that so that we can allow ourselves to take the cap off, right? To release the pressure valve so that can sift out and we can experience the fullness of that happiness, that joy, that love. Love is another thing we cap off, right? Sometimes because of fear of disappointment. And maybe that's why we cap off our positive emotions, because maybe there's a fear there. So, what is the fear? When you're capping off the emotions, what does that feel like in your body? But also, what is the conversation that you're having in that moment, right? What is the fear that, or the concern that might be coming up that has you say, nope, I can't feel too much of this, right? Because if I do, I might get off track. If I do, what if it doesn't happen? If I do, what if the other shoe drops? If I do, fill in the blank, right? Fill in the blank what that is for you. So this is the invitation I have as a practice this week. And I'm always giving you practices, right? This is the invitation for the practice that I have for you this week. Recognize, go back to a time when you've experienced joy or some positive emotion and you've capped it. Notice the conversation that was there. Recognize that's an inherited conversation. And then as you move along your day, start to recognize, okay, I'm feeling this positive emotion and I'm capping it. What's happening? What does it feel like in the body so you know the next time it happens? And what is the concern, the fear, the emotion, the internal conversation that's stopping you? All right, do that practice. Let me know how it goes. And share this episode. Share it with a friend, a family, a colleague, because as much as we need to regulate negative emotions, we need to allow in positive emotions. I think if we had more of that, the world might be a little bit different. The way we interact, the way we connect might be a little bit different. And so please share this episode. Leave us a review, leave us a comment. Let me know what you thought of this episode, how it resonated with you. Please leave a review on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify, because it's important for others to know the value that this particular episode may bring. So with that, go practice. And until the next time I see you, stay empowered.